Well, it's almost time for race 3 of today and race 2 for the SR8. We've got Per Staff in pole. In P2, we've got James Swift and Jonathan Stanley, and we've also got Terence Woodward and Ross Kaiser in third on the grid. So, as we can see, the weather has completely changed. It's raining now. I'm sure that most of the cars have got their wet tyres on, but anything can happen, as we saw in the earlier race. So, let's see how we get on for race 2. So the conditions have totally changed from race 1. How are you feeling about the wet?
Actually, I feel really good. I like rain. So it's going to be an interesting race. We'll see about the safety car accident, because I think there will be a lot of a safety car today.
Yeah, because of the conditions.
Say?
Because of the conditions.
Yeah, exactly. But it will be fun, I think.
Ross, you've got a great qualifying position here for the second race for the SR8s. What's your strategy?
Well, we don't have a particular strategy at the minute. We've had a bit of a tough weekend. We missed the testing on the Saturday morning, so we managed 2 flying laps in qualifying because we had a problem with the gearbox. So we just got that back in time for quali. And then the first race, unfortunately, Terence and Manhow came together and both ended up in the gravel trap. So I didn't get to drive in the first race. And we managed 2 laps in qualifying yesterday. So the grid slot was good, and we just need to hope we can turn it into a decent race result.
Okay, and how are you feeling about the weather conditions?
Good actually, because we haven't had much chance with our limited track time. We haven't had time to set the car up in the dry really. So hopefully the wet should level it up nicely.
Oh, well, that's quite good. So you're kind of at an advantage there, really.
Yeah, obviously it's the same for everyone the first time it rains, so we just have to figure it out on the green flag lap and see how we get on.
Absolutely atrocious conditions. It's Per Staff Jr. on pole. It should have been James Swift alongside him, but his driving partner John Stanley, that car too badly damaged from the race 1 accident, so it's a gap on the front row where they would have been, which gives Sean Balfe on the outside row 2 a good opportunity, as does Ross Kaiser. They go 4 abreast in towards paddock for the first time, and it's Alex Mortimer who takes the advantage. You saw a gap up the inside, so it's Alex Mortimer who launches himself into the, that's from 5th on the grid for Alex Mortimer. Everybody, I'm glad to say, cleanly through, although it's going to be a bit of a wall of spray for the drivers who aren't in lead the race. Now, has Mortimer kept it together? Well, Ross Kaiser at the moment is certainly disputing that with him on the run towards Graham Hill Bend, but I think it's Alex Mortimer who's just got the advantage over Ross Kaiser, and then the gap back to Per Staff Jr. in 3rd position. The Mortimer and Kaiser, vastly experienced racers, and these wet conditions won't pose any sort of challenge to them whatsoever, as the rain absolutely teeming down. And just look into the distance there as the ball of spray being kicked up. That's Martin Brundle who's well up as well. So Martin Brundle obviously relishing these wet conditions and well up in the top 6 in these early stages, as it's Mortimer who leads the way from Ross Kaiser in second. And Ross Kaiser, I'd imagine, can see absolutely nothing at the moment. As we follow them through Sheen Curve, you can see that Kaiser is just driving blind into a ball of spray. And we've got the gap back to Per Staff Jr. And then the next car through is the number 52 car. That is Marco Senchetti, and so Senchetti, the Italian driver, well up in these early stages, as through to complete the lap come leading duo. And then we've got Staff Jr. with Senchetti right on his tail, and Senchetti moving out behind Per Staff. I don't think he's really looking to make manoeuvring. I think he's more just trying to see which way the circuit goes so he can turn in towards Paddock Hill Bend. That said, he closes up on Per Staff Jr. under braking into Paddock. They climb the hill towards Druids and turn through the right-hand hairpin. No way through there, but it is bringing the first of the Radical UK Works cars into the fray. And judging by the helmet, that is Martin Brundle, who is thoroughly enjoying himself. He's there in 5th position and is involving himself in the mix very much in these early stages. Now, is he going to be able to find his way past Senchetti? At the same time, Senchetti looks to find his way past Per Staff, and they both make contact, and Martin Brundle says, that will do me very nicely, thank you. Let's see if he gained 2 places or just the 1 as they plunge down towards Hawthorns. He gained just the 1. It was Per Staff Jr. He picked his way past, and Staff Jr., well, he gave a Radical's wit to Marco Senchetti, and that was all that Senchetti needed. So it's now Martin Brundle's turn. Look at that spray. They can't see a thing, and this is such a quick section of the circuit as well. And Brundle backs off just so he can find out which way the circuit goes into Westfield. But Per Staff Jr. can't really do much about him just behind him. So Martin Brundle in 4th position and enjoying these wet conditions as they accelerate through the murk and the mist back towards clearways none of which matters to race leader, or indeed Ross Kaiser. So Ross Kaiser, who didn't get to drive, of course, in the first race because Terence Woodward was involved in that slight incident with Manhel Alos. So Ross Kaiser, well, he's been kicking his heels somewhat in the garage all day, and he's now really shown what he's worth out on the circuit. He's got Marco Senchetti there or thereabouts, but not really putting him under too much pressure just yet for that second position. Alex Mortimer, in lead of the race, has built himself a really quite nice buffer at this stage, although his driving partner Chris Hyman is arguably not quite as quick as some of the other drivers we'll be seeing taking on later in the race. There is Christian Cronengaard, who has got Sean Balfe in second of the Radical Works UK cars on his tail. So Sean Balfe, who was runner-up in race 1, at the moment bottled up behind Christian Cronengaard. And again, the challenge for Sean Balfe is just going to be trying to pick his way through around the circuit. So plunging down towards Hawthorns. Greg Hart also going very nicely just ahead of Christian there. So Greg Hart, clearly no ill effects to that car from race 1, and again showing very strongly in race 2, and having found himself a bit of track space, able to set some really quite consistent lap times here. Whereas for Sean Balfe, he's got the frustration of being behind Christian Cronengaard, not really being able to see an enormous amount as the pit window is open. Marco Senchetti, the first man to pit in. It's going to be Roddy Valori who takes over from him. There is Alex Brundle ready and waiting for Dad Martin to come in and hand over to him, which he does now. So Martin Brundle pits in. Alex Brundle going to take over. Now Martin setting some very quick and consistent lap times there, but he's been saying all weekend that Alex may just have the edge of him in terms of pace. So this is going to be very exciting as the race progresses. Per Staff Jr. pits in, and that gives you an indication of just what sort of a margin Martin Brundle was able to build out over Per Staff Jr. as Alex strapped in, his eyes already poised with concentration. Dad just imparting some advice about where the track is especially treacherous, as the pit stop mandatory time has just about elapsed, and Alex Brundle about to go back into the fray. He's just being held because there's a couple of cars low down the order pitting in. Out goes Alex Brundle. That's cost him a couple of seconds as he goes back into the race. Now what can Alex Brundle do? This is going to feed him in, I would reckon, into about 4th position, because he and Dan Martin, they're both grade A rated drivers. They had a longer pit stop than everybody else in the field, and so yes, Alex Brundle a few places to make up, but with the bit between his teeth, I have no doubt Alex will be able to make ground as the race progresses. He has come out just in front of the number 21 car, and that is Alex Mortimer at the wheel. So Brundle's pitting in early in the pit window, Alex Mortimer staying out. It's a 3-lap pit window, so that's Alex Mortimer. He is going to have to pit in and hand over to Chris Hyman. Now that means that effectively Mortimer's got a lap or so's grace over Alex Brundle. Now is exactly a lap as he goes through, so that is how long they're going to have to make their pit stop and hope Alex Brundle doesn't overhaul them. The race really in one of those transitional phases just at the moment, so Mortimer to pit in, Alex Brundle getting up to speed on the wet circuit in the SR8, and very much looking to make amends from the spin that he had in race 1. Ronnie Valori, he has taken over from Marco Senchetti, so he is just scrabbling for grip a little bit over the crest at Sheens. Can see the puddles begin to form around the Brands Hatch Grand Prix loop. Alex Mortimer, he almost certainly will pit in, if not at the end of this lap, then the one after, as they accelerate towards Clearays. A little bit lower down the order as Giorgio Rosa and David Hartness do battle, and David Hartness in the 66 car gaining the position over Giorgio Rosa. That is towards the lower end of the top 10 that they are fighting for. So David Hartness making good progress. Giorgio Rosa again just looking to find out where the grip is, and the same very much going for the man at the wheel of number 53, and that is John Lord. So John Lord looking for some grip, as now we have had that switch over, and the net effect has been to feed out Chris Hyman pretty much exactly a lap ahead of Alex Brundle. So Alex Brundle, this is going to be effectively for the race lead, and through he goes on the inside of Chris Hyman. Alex Brundle taking the lead of the race, and perhaps no surprise there. You'd argue that Alex, as a contemporary frontline single-seated racer, would maybe just have legs on Chris, although Chris also combines his radical duties with racing in the British GT Championship, but through has gone Alex Brundle and into the lead of the race. So great move from Alex Brundle as the battles continue around the circuit as Greg Hart makes progress. Per Staff Jr. goes off and into the gravel track. Staff Jr. is chasing down Greg Hart for 4th position, running wide and out into the gravel track. So all sorts of problems there, unfortunately, for the race 1 winner, Per Staff Jr. That is going to pitch him some way down the order as these battles continuing around the circuit. And that's Terence Woodward, who is defending from Greg Hart, and that is the fight, in fact, for 3rd position. So Terence Woodward having taken over from Ross Kaiser and Greg Hart. That fight, I'm sure, will go all the way to the line because the pair of them reasonably evenly matched. And Greg Hart, I think, felt he should have had a podium earlier on today and is looking to make amends now. So as Terence Woodward looks to get up to pace, Greg Hart, of course, has already done the first half of the race, so he knows where the grip is, he knows where he can push. Whereas for Terence Woodward, he's just going to have to find his way a little bit as the race unfolds and he gets deep into his stint. No such concerns for Alex Brundle. He's in the lead of the race and he's pulling out a nice advantage over Chris Hyman in 2nd position, and Brundle taking a wide line through Paddock Bend, just running off the normal racing line. That's where the grip is offline, it's where the marbles are set down the track so the drivers can find just a little bit more traction. And the same at Druids again, Brundle just running half a car's width away from the normal racing line. Dad Martin watching on anxiously in the pit with Phil Abbott as the race progresses.
So Martin, you started off in P6 and now Alex is actually leading the race. So talk me through your part of the race.
Well, I had a good start. I was a bit cautious into the first corner, so I made up for it in 2nd, 3rd and 4th corners and got myself into a comfortable P4. We were holding the pace now. It's very, very wet. I'm squelching in my boots. A lot of water coming through the car as well, but the track was seriously wet in the beginning. It's drying out a bit now, thank goodness. And so we just let's just hold station and hand the car to Alex in one piece, somewhere near the leaders. He's absolutely flying and doing brilliantly. So he's in a class of his own out there, which is nice to see.
That is great to see. And also with the conditions, I mean, was that really affecting your visibility for a while there, being behind like 3 cars?
Well, you can't see anything in those conditions because obviously your visor's your windscreen and you've got so much water. And then there was a phase where when the water started to just drop a little bit, and then if you're about 2 seconds behind another car, you get this mist coming at you that sort of sticks to your visor. It's really weird. You're constantly having to wipe your visor before you get to the next corner. It's a strange thing as you go through the different phases of the amount of size of the water droplets. I don't know what it is, but and then every so often you'll just catch a little bit of water. Maybe you're a few centimetres wider than you were the lap before, and the car will try and get away. But as ever, you've got to go down the straight. You can't see where you're going, so your peripheral vision comes in and you're just checking the edge. If something happened in front of you, you're just going to smash straight into it.
And were there any tweaks to the car that were made that had given you an extra advantage whilst you were out there?
Well, neither of us have ever driven a Radical in the rain, so we guessed at just softening off a little bit. So softer roll bar, softer shock absorber settings, and go and drive it, basically.
Brilliant. Okay, well, hopefully we'll see you on the podium very soon.
Yeah, let's hope so. Don't the commentators curse or the interviewers curse there.
Fingers crossed. Thanks. You.
Well, a very proud, if slightly anxious Martin Brundle goes straight back to the timing screen to see how Alex is getting on, as Greg Hart, unable yet to find his way past Terence Woodward, he's now beginning to run out of laps with which to do so. And if anything, the gap has maybe gone out to just over a second or thereabouts as they arrive under braking into Paddock Hill Bend. And Greg Hart is at that stage where, with all the spray being kicked up, he almost needs to drop back a second or two, actually get his bearings around the circuit, and then launch for a new challenge on Terence Woodward. Woodward, very late entry for this weekend, as that has rather ruined Greg Hart's challenge. Around he goes at Graham Hill Bend, and just pushing a fraction too hard, and he's actually made an excellent recovery and gets back onto the track without having lost any position. That's Per Staff Jr., but Staff Jr. a couple of laps down as a result of that moment in clearways. And so Greg Hart, well, that's rather shot any chance he had of winning this one, as we're very much in the closing stages now, and it has been a very solid first half of the race from Martin Brundle. It's been an absolutely stunning second half of the race from Alex Brundle. He really has been the class of the field and has set an electrifying pace on a sodden Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit as he goes through Clark Curve for the final time. This is going to be a very, very well-deserved victory for Martin and Alex Brundle. He punches the air in delight, he claims the win in the second of today's Dunlop Radical UK and Shell Racing Solutions Euromasters SR8 races. Second place to Chris Hunt and Alex Mortimer, and third place claimed by Terence Woodward and Ross Kaiser. Really was a very entertaining race in very trying conditions for the drivers. Well, very happy drivers on the podium. Some very nice trophies as well from Radical, and some well-deserved champagne after a very long and tough race.
Guys, you started out in third on the grid and you managed to retain that the whole way through. Ross, you were out first. How did it go?
Good, got a reasonable start, managed to hold second, got past Per Staff who was on pole, but then Mortimer snuck down the inside of Per, so that left me on the outside of Alex. So held second pretty much to the end of my stint. It was pretty tricky out there and the spray was pretty severe, but held on to second, and then Terence got in and he drove a great job. I think we had another lap and we may have had second.
Great, well you had a good change over there, didn't you? And talk us through your part of the race then, Terence.
Yeah, well, it's quite tricky conditions today. So we've been setting the car up for the dry over the past 2 days, and so it's a bit of a guess on the setup. But the car was okay, it was a bit slippery, but it's a great circuit here, and it was nice to finish on the podium.
Yeah. Were there any opportunities where you thought you could get up second, maybe?
Yeah, well, I was catching the guy up who was in front of me, and I think I'd got down to about 100 metres on the final lap. I think one more lap, we might have just got past him, but not this time.
Oh, well, next time. Thanks very much, guys. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
Thank you. So congratulations, Alex, into second place there, and your co-driver Chris managed to get you there.
Yeah, he drove a great stint there and really held a good pace. I mean, Alex was mega quick at the end. There was not going to be, we weren't going to be holding him off, but it was close, and you can't be unhappy with second place. Fantastic.
Absolutely. And are you going to be driving again with the Radicals this year?
Yeah. I mean, as I'm aware, we're going to finish the season off, so fingers crossed. Hopefully, this should help bump us up a bit. It's great. Can't wait.
Congratulations, guys. First place. Well done. And surely must make up for your first race here today.
Yeah, we had a disappointment this morning because we should have won that one easily, but the changeable weather conditions, it's new territory to us. We don't really know these cars in these conditions, so we made up for it in the second race, that's for sure. Alex was absolutely flying. It was brilliant.
You really were, Alex, and I've just heard a whole new word from you, bow waves. Yeah. And as your father was just saying, pretty bad weather conditions, so how did that affect you?
Yeah, my feet getting a little bit wet towards the end, but that was the least of my worries, to be honest. And I mean, the car was handling brilliantly, frankly, in the wet conditions, and I'm really happy to take the win away.
So Martin was in fourth when he came in for the driver changeover. How did you manage to get it up to first?
The thing is, when you get out of the pit lane, you don't really know who you're passing for position and who you're just lapping. So I just made as much ground as I possibly could. Came past the pit lane, saw P1 on my board, and carried on going. So at that point, I knew I just had to control the gap, and I had the gap up on the board. And then, it was pretty plain sailing to the end of the race, just making sure I didn't make any mistakes in the tricky conditions. But with the car handling how it was, I felt pretty planted.
Brilliant. And do you mind driving in the wet?
I always used to be really strong in a Grand Prix driving in the rain, as long as you know you kind of got a bit of confidence. Luckily there was no aquaplaning, so it was very, very wet at the start of the race, I must say, and visibility was virtually zero down the back straight. That was a bit scary because we're doing about 240 k's down there. What's that, 140, 150 miles an hour or something, and you think, I'm going to have to keep my foot planted and just keep going. You daren't lift off, but you're a bit scared to go flat out as well. And I'm thinking, what are BBC going to say if I'm in Kent and District Hospital? I can't go to Canada next weekend and call the Formula 1 race. But it was fine. So we didn't have aquaplaning. It was just very wet and visibility was poor.
Great. Okay, and finally, Alex, thoughts on driving the Radical?
Love the car. Yeah, I love the car. A lot of power. Really enjoyed the weekend.
So guys, you're about to get ready for the second SR3 race here. The first one wasn't so good for you, was it?
No, it was a bit disappointing. So we were fifth on the grid and doing okay in the paddock, and I was fourth, I think, or about to take fourth, and spun at Druids. So that was my error, and hopefully we can learn from that.
So was that you guys out for the entire race then?
No, Tony, it dropped about 2 laps, and then the kind marshals pushed him out of the gravel trap. We got going again, but we weren't in the race at that point. I got to have a drive, so that was nice. but I think the conditions are a little bit more wet now, so we'll see how it goes in this second race.
Yeah, I was going to say, at least you got some time out on the track, but have you kind of had any practice in the wet with this car?
We had a little bit at Alton. You've probably had a little bit more time than I have in the wet in the car. But same for everyone, isn't it, really? No one's had that much wet running this year anyway.
And who do you think your main competitors are going to be out there today?
James Abbott again and Alex Brundle. Obviously Alex Capadia is quick, Bradley Ellis. So, you know, I mean we have good pace, it's just it makes it difficult with the wet weather, so we'll just see if we can not make any mistakes.
Alex, you did fantastically well in your last race with the SR8s. How are you feeling about this one?
Yeah, pretty confident. Obviously the track's in a similar condition to how it was when I went out on the 8 before. Yeah, so hopefully I'll just get a good start and be able to pull away.
Are there any changes you'll make to your strategy whilst you're out there?
I think basically we're a little bit we're set in stone due to the pit-in conditions, but I think, you know, it's quite a short race as sports car races go, so we're just going to have to go flat out for the flag.
The SR3s are heading out into 2 green flag laps and then onto their rolling starts. There is a huge grid actually, almost 30 cars out there at the moment. As we've seen, there can be a lot of action. The safety car's moving off now, so let's see what's going to happen this time.
Well, 28 of them setting off on the formation lap with Alex Brundle on pole position with Alex Capadia alongside him on the second row of the grid. It's James Littlejohn and Rob Weldon. Littlejohn to the inside, Weldon to the outside, and then row 3, Bradley Ellis and Stuart Mosley. It's going to be an action-packed 40 minutes. Away we go. It's Alex Brundle who is going to lead into Paddock Hill Bend for the first time, but it's not one to try and for Alex Capadia, who attempts to look around the outside. The rest of the field surging through, but glad to report that for the moment everybody seems to have got through Paddock fairly clean. There's Tom Stubber-Olsen, Danish driver, who has got Nathan Lindop on his tail. The leading duo, meanwhile, absolutely line astern, as Alex Brundle has got a very feisty-looking Alex Capadia on his tail. It's James Littlejohn who holds on to 3rd position, with in 4th place Rob Weldon, but I think Rob Weldon has got designs on 3rd because he moves to the inside James Littlejohn. Now, has he completed that move in time on arrival into Surtees? I think he has. It's going to get quite close on the exit with them. Bradley Ellis in 5th position. No doubt about leader, it's Alex Brundle, fresh from his win about 2 hours ago in the SR8s, and here he is in the SR3s and is already at the head of the field, though Alex Capadia won the first race earlier on today and he is in very hot pursuit. Well, the rain not quite as bad as it was for the SR8 race, although there's lots of spray being kicked up, there isn't too much fresh rain coming down, so with the big rear spoilers of these cars we may see the track just begin to dry as this race progresses, as they accelerate through to complete the lap. And Bradley Ellis making good progress, Junior Strauss also well up, but Alex Capadia still trying to find his way past Alex Brundle. He's not going to do himself any favours as he puts 2 wheels on the grass like that at Clark Curve though, and it's Rob Weldon who has found his way into 3rd position, which would suggest that James Littlejohn rather lost out when we saw them going side by side into Surtees. So that's your top 3, Alex Brundle from Alex Capadia, and then in 3rd place Rob Weldon. It was Weldon and Capadia who were the stars in race 1. Alex Brundle, of course, we didn't get to see drive because unfortunately James Abbott had retired before Alex could get behind the wheel, and he's making amends for that through Graham Hill Bend and trying to build that advantage over Alex Capadia. And look at Bradley Ellis, he is really beginning to close in as well in 4th position. It's Junior Strauss there in 5th, and James Littlejohn recovering up in 7th. Stuart Mosley has slipped down the order, he's just behind Richard Carver, and then it's Ross Allen who's the next man through, with the rest of the field more or less running in a continuous train after that. Plenty of slipping and sliding, but fortunately not too much untoward drama, as into Hawthorns go the leading trio of cars, with Bradley Ellis in 4th, still just staying there or thereabouts at this stage of the race, but not really able to make much of an impression into Alex Brundle, because Brundle is setting that pace and then beginning to build his advantage. We've got a move on here though, as number 44 car of Igor Urin goes through and gains the position, so Igor moving up a place as he continues to fight his way up through the order. But this is much closer for the leaders, because Capadia is on tail of Alex Brundle. They run side by side through Paddock Hill Bend. Who's going to prevail? It's going to be Capadia. Just they make slight contact, and off into the gravel track goes Alex Brundle. and that was almost inevitable. It's amazing really that both cars are still in the race, because they ran absolutely side by side through paddock. And Kapadia, well, there was the tiniest elements of contact as Alex Brundle went sideways. He just ran out of slight grip, but no harm done at all to Kapadia, so he has taken over the lead of the race and is momentarily unthreatened. Alex Brundle did very, very well to hold on to that. That's James Abbott, who will be taking over from Alex fairly shortly. Phil Abbott will be taking over from Rob Weldon, as Junior Strauss is the first of the drivers to pit in. Eric Sport, another driver to stop at the very start of the pit window as the team are ready, and here comes Alex Brundle. He's going to hand over to James Abbott, so Alex comes to a halt, kills the engine, pops the belts and jumps outside the car, as in goes the seat insert for James Abbott. James will follow in fairly short order. In he climbs, and the team set to work strapping him in as they check the stopwatch to make sure that they don't release him too early. Out he goes, and on into the race for James Abbott. Phil Abbott in the car. He's just taken over from Rob Weldon as he tries to fire it up, but he gets pushed down the pit lane. There's too many people pushing that. They're going to get a penalty.
Brilliant start there, Alex, and James still seems to be in the lead at the moment.
Yeah, James is still leading the race. There's a bit of a challenge coming from behind at the moment, so I don't know if we're going to be in front at the end, but hopefully so. I mean, he's very good in these conditions. We've got a little bit of a problem with our car getting into 6th gear, so fingers crossed that holds out and we retain the lead.
Okay, and I was just talking to Alex Caperia. He said you guys had a bit of a scuffle kind of halfway round.
Yeah, I had a little touch with him in Paddock Hill Bend on the in-lap there. He tried to make a move around the outside, and I was just taking my normal line, and we met in the middle. Sadly, absolute kind of racing incident, side-to-side contact, but it did mean that I went through the gravel and then lost a bit of time. So it was a bit of a shame, but such is life.
Well, it is just in the lead of the race still James Abbott, but we've got Junior Strauss, who is also very much on the charge. Got a bit of a moment there for Pete Osborne. Pete Osborne, who's taken over from Alex Capadia. So we've got the top three still running very closely together in the race as we have before the pit stop. So that is going to give James Abbott slight breathing space over Pete Osborne as James Abbott descends towards Hawthorns. Beautifully presented, that number 74 car, as he turns through the Grand Prix loop. Such high-speed corners even in these wet conditions, as Tony Wells is going nicely in this one. He's just ahead of Andy Cummings. Andy Cummings having taken over from Bradley Ellis, who left that car well positioned. Alain Costa also looking to gain places, and Costa making the move up the inside into Westfield 3. Goes through the ball of spray, as this is the challenge for the lead, because Junior Strauss has reeled in the race leader James Abbott and is going to look to challenge in fairly short order, I think, to claim the lead of this race. We're not all that far from the end of the race either, so Junior Strauss will be looking to make that move and then try and drive off into the distance. But James Abbott, as we heard from Alex Brundle, he's very assured in these conditions. He took a great win in the Radical Clubman's Cup in the rain at Alton Park, so he certainly knows what he's doing, although Junior Strauss maybe a little bit more experienced behind the wheel than James Abbott, who is still only in his first couple of seasons of racing, whereas Junior Strauss has been racing single seats for several years. And Strauss beginning to pile the pressure on. He's got a good run as they move towards Surtees. Nicely defended though from James Abbott. He's just covered the inside line, so Junior Strauss challenging around the outside line. There's no way through there. That's very good defensive driving from James Abbott, because he's really making Junior Strauss work very hard to try and make this move stick. But it's through the Grand Prix loop all day. We've seen Junior Strauss being so strong. So again, he forces Abbott to go defensive into Hawthorn. So just wondering if that's going to set Junior Strauss up for the run towards Westfield. No, it's not, because again, very defensive from James Abbott. Nothing untoward. He's just really making Junior Strauss work for this one. But finally, Strauss prizes the opening at Westfield, and through he goes into the lead of the race. And that certainly wasn't through any lack of effort in defence from James Abbott. That was a great drive from both of them. Very tight battle, very close, but Junior Strauss, who is marginally the quicker driver, I think, having found his way through, is now going to try and set off in the lead of the race. Pete Osborne remains in third position, so James Abbott, well, that was really very, very good defensive driving from him. He took very tight lines but kept the speed up, but eventually he had to give a car's width to Junior Strauss, who was ready to pounce when he did. So it's Strauss into the lead of the race as the rain is actually coming down once more. with renewed vigour. That's Ernesta Globite, number 44, who I think is going to go lap down there to Alain Costa. And Costa able to pick his way past the Russian lady driver, which he does with no problems whatsoever, as they all head towards Clearways. There is the number 51 car, and that's Bernardo Pellegrini, who has had a very solid day here at Brands Hatch and is once more running well up the order. He's currently in 14th position, and so maybe not quite showing the dramatic pace that we saw a little bit earlier in the day, but still well on course for a solid finishing position here, although he is just being reeled in ever so slightly by Jeremy Ferguson, as Junior Strauss for the final time climbs up towards Sheen Curve. It's been a great drive from Junior Strauss. He really has had to fight for this victory. Had a superb scrap with James Abbott, but he's come through, he's built the advantage, and there's just a couple of corners between himself and the checkered flag, so he accelerates out of Stirling's and down towards Clearways once more. He'll take absolutely no chances through Clearways. He's onto the Bram Straight, he's up against the pit wall, and the checkered flag is ready and waiting, and Junior Strauss claims the victory in the second of today's Radical SR3, Dunlop Radical UK and Shell Racing Solutions Euromasters races. There's still plenty of fighting going on, as we've got Andy Cummings, who is busy defender, and Tom Stubber-Olsen, that's Olsen, which is the car at the back of that train, so plenty of fighting going on all the way around the circuit. Really great dicing throughout the field. It's been a very enjoyable race. Also Phil Abbott in that fight as well, so Phil Abbott looking to challenge Tom Stubber-Olsen. They all stream across the line. It's Junior Strauss who's claimed the victory from second place James Abbott and Alex Brundle, and third place going to Pete Osborne and Alex Capadia. Very enjoyable race in very challenging conditions, and Junior Strauss a delighted and very deserving race winner.
So congratulations guys, are you happy with your result?
Yeah, absolutely ecstatic. I mean, you know, podium and first in the first race and a third in the second, just absolutely fantastic on return to racing. So yeah, really good.
Brilliant. And where are you going to put all those trophies?
I haven't even thought about that yet, to be honest. I just want to get the champagne out my eyes, to be honest. That's all I'm thinking about.
It does sting a little bit, they nearly got us. And talk us through your part of the racing.
Well, started obviously side by side with Alex, and had a go on him in the first corner, but I couldn't quite make that one stick. And we managed to get a little bit of a gap to the guys behind us, so we weren't getting any bother from behind, and just had to keep on trying to push every single lap to try and stay with him. And luckily for me, he kept on coming up on the back markers first, so I sort of took the advantage of that. And one lap he got a little bit held up coming into Clearways. Got a good run on him. Braked on a sort of slightly drier part around the outside of paddock. We ran around there together and we had a little knock, but carried on going, and it was a really good stint. It was a really exciting race, and I'm looking forward to talking to him about it afterwards.
Brilliant. You both look like you've really enjoyed it, and you said it's your return to racing then, Pete. So will we be seeing you again here for the Radical season?
Yeah, it's 7 months since I last was in a car, so yeah, I can't wait. I'm hoping it's raining at Imola. I really am. I doubt it, but I really think so.
I'd just like to say as well, massive thank you to Matty, Ben and George at Radical, who've made that car run absolutely faultlessly all weekend. It's a brand new car, we've had no issues with it absolutely whatsoever. It just shows the build quality coming out of Radical now, and it's been amazing that we can come out first weekend and win with it.
Well done guys, congratulations. You had an amazing race the whole way through. Talk me through it.
Yeah, I got off pole pretty well. Alex challenged me into the first corner as I knew he was going to, but I managed to hold on to the first place, and then pulled out a bit of a gap until inevitably we reached the back markers, and then all hell broke loose, and I had to rappel on all fronts to try and keep him behind me. He put a move around the outside of Paddock Hill, which was a great move, and we had a little bit of contact in the middle, but all's fair. And you know, I went through the gravel a little bit, but managed to keep on running, and brought the car in second place, and then James converted that handsomely, so I'm really happy.
Brilliant. And you had a great change over there as well, didn't you, James?
Yeah, just about pipped him out the pit stop, come out in pole, and just struggled with the back marker. Both me and Pete and Junior was able to catch up, so had a bit of a battle there. He was quicker in the end. He was a couple of seconds down the road, but a really good race. Really enjoyed it.
So Junior, you started off in P8 and you made it all the way up to first place. How did you do it?
Well, qualifying first of all was not too good. I had pole position for the first race and then P8 for the second race, so I was kind of bummed out about that. I had a bit of traffic, but well, I was praying for rain, and the rain came down, so that was good. Yeah, I'm a drifting champion in Holland, so I love the rain. And it's just all about keeping your car on the track and pushing as hard as you can. It's difficult with the spray because these cars have a lot of downforce, so the spray goes up high into the air and you can't see anything. But that was a difficult race. It was a long race. The pit stop in this Radical Championship make it really cool because you've got driver changes and stuff going on, tire pressures changing, so that was exciting. And after the pit stops, we made a few changes to my car. The engine was running really hot, about 120 degrees, so I thought it was going to blow up on me. They took some tape off and fixed the problem, and after that I could go full throttle. I didn't have to short shift anymore, and I was able to to take the lead.
Amazing. Well, really, really good race. And will we be seeing you again in a Radical?
Yeah, I'm doing the complete Dutch Championship. Besides winning this race, I also won the race for the Dutch Championship. We're racing together here, so it's kind of special, but it's the way it is. And I'll be finishing the Dutch Championship, and you'll see me in Estoril and in Valencia.
Brilliant. Well, best of luck with everything. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. Well, that's it for Radical here at Brands Hatch this weekend. But we'll be back at Snetterton at the end of June. We hope you can join us. Thanks very much for watching.